we talk about visual, audio, and kinesthetic. There are a number of ways in which people generally prefer to receive information. Okay.
Well, it's not. Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So it's a complete misnomer about this.
Okay, tell me.
Welcome to Leadership in the Era of Overwhelm, a 6-part series with Dr. William DeJean and your host David Rogerson, designed for those leading learning in today's high-pressure world. With experience drawn from their real-life experience in education, join us each week to listen, connect, and bring your voice into the conversation.
Welcome to Leadership in the Era of Overwhelm. It's the show that helps leaders who lead learning in this new era. I'm David Rogerson at the master's degree level of teaching. I'm a lecturer and mentor, and I'm currently working in the Education Centre. I've taken over our series along with Dr. William DeJean to unravel this fascinating world of advancing teaching and learning in this new era of overwhelm. William, welcome back.
Thanks, David.
We are at episode 3 already. Yep. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
It is.
In our last episode, William, we looked at teaching and learning in an era of overwhelm. Based on your experience in schools, I asked you, could you give me your one tip as to why systems should be considered when we develop our teaching and learning missions? What your one tip should be? Let's revisit that.
We talked about it lowers cognitive load. It lowers stress levels. It helps people be more efficient. It helps when new information comes in, they can easily use it to continue to advance the teaching and learning of the school for years to come. So that's a few. There's multiple reasons.
So what I'm hearing you saying is, as I mentioned in our last episode, if you don't know where you're going, any road takes you there.
Correct.
Okay, so if you turn up at school for the classroom each day and you haven't prepped and planned, which is something we will be covering in our future episodes, life feels a drag.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think students notice that.
Yeah.
It kind of rubs off. You can't leave your worries at the door and pick them up on the way out. Same with students as well.
Yeah.
On to engaging students in the classroom in our era of overwhelm, because I would like to talk to you about student engagement and the key of student engagement in this era of overwhelm. You do mention it in your book. Time to give it a plug again.
It's on the coffee mugs as well.
Yeah, and that's on the coffee mugs. I've even had a tattoo. No. Based on your experience in schools, engaging students in the classroom, tell me why this is so important. It just seems so obvious, but it's so easily missed sometimes.
Yeah, so one of the keys to make learning stick for everyone is engagement.
Yeah.
And there's so what we're talking about here really is the stuff that doesn't change even though everything is changing. So in the era of overwhelm, we're chasing the latest new things. This is the ship that never changes even when things do. So the key of engagement, and we'll talk about the teaching and learning mission, I think, in another episode. But if we want to make learning stick, if we want to make long-term learning stick for everyone, engagement's a key to make that happen.
Right.
And so how it works, here's the other way of explaining it. And if people listening to this, you can try this at home. At keynotes, I'll give keynotes and I'll ask teachers, principals, whoever, how many people didn't learn a subject until they taught the subject?
Wow.
And
so you're now talking you're talking directly to teachers.
Yeah, teachers and also principals and leaders.
Right.
Mentors, instructional coaches.
Sure. Yeah.
How many people didn't learn a subject till they taught the subject? All the hands go up. So let's think this through. They go to university, get a degree. I'm not being disrespectful.
No.
I taught the university.
Yep.
They did assignments and tests or whatever they had to do. It wasn't until they taught it. And the reason that is the key of engagement. So when they're teaching it, they're writing it, they're speaking it, we say they're lifting the weights.
Yep.
And so the science is intentional and planned for student engagement is what makes learning stick.
Right.
So often what happens when people learn this, and I'm thinking of a specific principal, and the success team and the teachers, they will say to me, I thought I knew what engagement was, but it often has been engagement by default, not intentionality. So we need students to be lifting the weights in intentional ways. And in the era of overwhelm, where their mental load is filled or they're distracted, engagement, we say, where attention goes, learning flows. Where attention goes, learning flows. So
You mean where the attention from the teacher to the
You
student?
know, where attention goes. So if
Yeah.
I'm writing,
Yeah.
what I'm doing is, it says when I write it, I learn it. When I'm writing, I mean, we know this, but the intentionality, I have got to get the student's attention to a very specific thing and get them to lift weights on that thing. So it's not fill out the worksheet. It's literally intentionality. So where the student attention goes, the learning flows.
So by lifting weights, do you mean the student has to provide their level of input as well to make it successful, or and whatever that outcome is? You know, is it in learning, or is it if the student pays attention, my part of the engagement's working?
Well, I would do, here's a way I think about it. If I was in a workshop playing this video,
Yeah.
what I would be doing is I would have them thinking out loud for a second.
Yeah.
I'd have the teachers or leaders or principals, or they'd be taking notes. In fact, we do this at Unleash. You'd be taking notes on this video.
Yep.
Then I'd have you intentionally teach your notes to somebody else. Then I'd have you write a summary about what is this episode really about. Then I'd have them explain to somebody else what engagement is. Then I might have them draw an explanation of what lifting the weights is about. So if you want to gain a muscle, you have to lift weights, and you have to lift weights in multiple ways. So you can't just go on the leg machine. You've got to go on
Absolutely.
the arm or whatever that's called, right?
Yeah.
What a personal trainer does is he doesn't or she doesn't deliver information to you. They have you intentionally weight lift, because how it works is we say neurons that fire together, wire together. I can talk about the science, but that's how muscle expands. But that's also how learning sticks.
Yeah.
So it's an intentionality about it.
I guess from the teacher's point of view, and I'm just going to put my psychology hat on
Yeah.
because I paid for a master's
Yeah.
degree, so I may as well use some
Yes.
of it. We talk about visual, audio, and kinesthetic. In other words, there are a number of ways in which people
Yeah.
generally prefer to receive information. Okay?
Well, it's not. Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So that's what I'm trying to think who the research, the theorist about this is. There's a complete misnomer about this.
Okay,
So
tell me.
what he was saying,
Yeah.
and I can't think of his name right now, is there are kinesthetic ways of learning.
Yes.
There are visual ways of learning. There are spiritual ways of learning. What he didn't say is some people are visual learners. So what we've done is we say, oh, the visual learners, that's not what he was saying is there's multiple ways to get people to lift the weights.
Right.
And we as educators need to use all the ways.
But don't we have to identify within the classroom, is Jenny better at receiving visual things?
Well,
Is Kenny better at audio? And does Barry prefer to me to show it? And the reason I say that is, and I'm really interested in your feedback here, is because our experience is combined, but also between us, we teach in different levels. And that is, I find when I talk to some teachers, they go, I have showed that to him so many times, he just doesn't get it. Or I spoke to her 3 or 4 times about this.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she understand, David? Or the other one is, I put it down, I showed them in paper, I said, read this exam first before you answer the questions, and she always fails.
So the engagement there was the engagement for the teacher.
Yeah.
So the engagement we're talking about is the student has to write it,
Yes,
speak
speak
it,
it.
explain it,
Exactly.
teach it, question it. And the thing about this is when educators learn the Unleashed Learning System or school leaders learn it, they'll say to me, I know this stuff, right? But what it's doing is embedding an approach that lowers stress levels. And I think you asked me later, but I'll tell you the kind of epiphany some of the teachers have had about it when we've done learning walks and what they see going on. And again, none of this is that teachers are bad, schools are bad. This is about the schools that are really wanting to go to the next level. That's what we're talking about to me.
Yep. And there's a difference between standing on the inside looking in
Yeah.
and standing on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And I think where you, and to a lesser extent myself, come in here is standing on the outside looking in, we kind of pick up the things that the others kind of strolling around don't look.
Yeah,
Okay?
we
It's a bit
need
like
all
when
the
my mum
stakeholders.
comes to my place, she goes, wow, this is so untidy. When did you last vacuum the floor?
Yeah.
Mum, we're not here for that.
Yeah. Yeah. We need all the stakeholders.
We need all the stakeholders. Key 3 and 4 of students and classrooms. Does AI and technology fit into student engagement? Because AI is such a huge topic. I'm just going to stop there because we could go into the AI rabbit hole forever and a day, from contract learning and cheating all the way down to, yes, sir, I did do that in my art experiment. Look at what I've turned out. So AI, where does it fit in all this?
So what AI is going to ask of us, it's already asking of us, is what do we want to get to stick? That's what it's going to ask for us. So there are some things that we may not need to do because AI will help students do that.
Yeah.
So one of the powers of the Unleashed Learning System and what we're talking about in the book, and a lot of people, we talk about the it, write it, speak it. So what is it you're trying to get to stick? So AI is going to ask us as a culture, as a society, as a school, what do we really want to get to stick? And so it will be the same thing because how learning sticks never changes. Long-term learning sticks.
I want to ask you by what you mean stick.
Yeah.
Let me ask you that now.
Okay.
Because next time we get together, I want to talk to you about some other experiences. What is sticking?
Sticking.
What is that element? Is it, have they learnt it? And because normally in brain science, you got to know it 3 times and hear it 3 times before you start to learn something. Where is your interpretation of sticking?
So what sticking means is if the leader, if the school, if the teachers want that class creates positive behavioral change, transformational understanding, they can use it. Their life has changed because of it. They can teach it to others. It impacts who they are. At the end of the day, they want learning to stick. And there's 2 kinds of sticking. There's short term. I got through the assignment. I did the exam. But there's long term. And the long term is the behavioral change where they leave the school as different human beings. And so most educators, they want that. That's what most of the principals want. So they don't, if I ask people, do you want them just getting through assignments? What many students have told me, and thousands of them I've asked, is they'll say, they know if it's short-term learning because I go, well, I got the C on that test or whatever, and don't look at it again. But if you want something more, we want learning to stick. We want long-term learning to stick. That's going to create a positive impact on the lives of others. And so that's why it's about lifting the weights.
We're going to talk about this in future episodes, but I'm always reminded of my marketing brain that goes, if you don't measure it, you'll never manage it. I know you talk about that in your book.
The data piece,
it's the data thing, but let's say that for yet another episode.
Okay.
So what's one real life experience you can share with us where teaching and learning mission statement or statements helped improve, let's say, a performance leadership team for students in the classroom? By performance, I mean like the leaders, the 5, 6 that get together at the school.
Well, I wonder if this answers, I was just thinking at a school in WA, the assistant principal called me and they were short on classrooms. And so they put the teacher who had learned the unregistered system in a library room, and the librarian said, you can't put stuff on the walls. They can. So she went and said to the school leader, the key of classroom, our mission is to make learning stick for everyone. And here's the description of the key of classroom. And the principal goes, oh, you're right. You're right. Go for it. So they had a common language. Yeah. She said, my mission is to make learning stick for everyone. And the key of classroom says this, but the librarian's saying that. And the leader said, you're right. We're using the key of classroom. Go to town. So they had a common language, an embedded approach, and they had a mission that informed what they were doing rather than being overwhelmed with more information.
Wow. That's incredible. So much more we can talk about. So thank you for all of the knowledge you've shared and gained with us today. Because I find when we talk, I go, wow, that's something I'd never considered. So when we, in our episodes like this, are chatting and share knowledge, I'm sure there are others as well who are listening to our episodes who go, wow, there's a bit of a moment for us. So if you do have comments or you do have feedback or you've got any questions you'd like to ask us, please take a look at the links below. We'd love to hear back from you. Until next time, thanks.
I'll see you soon.
In our next episode of Leadership in the Era of Overwhelm, we'll look at whether we need a teacher and learning mission in the era of overwhelm. I'm David Rogerson with a show that helps leaders who lead in learning in this new era. You can catch William and myself in our next episode. Thanks for being with us.
Leadership in the Era of Overwhelm is designed for those leading learning in today's high-pressure world. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. And if you've got questions, we'd love to hear from you as well.